Hi friends, in this video I'm going to talk about how to secure your REST application using Spring Security using the basic authentication. Let's see what is exactly authentication means. Authentication is used to reliably determine who is exactly accessing your resources. Providing Are they providing the correct username password or not? So that's what authentication means basically. So let's look at this diagram and try to understand how the Spring Security is trying to help us in securing our application. So I've written a very small Spring Boot application, a REST application, where it has two endpoints. So this is my REST application. Okay, I've introduced a Spring Security which is going to secure my REST application. Okay, a very small demo application. I've introduced two endpoints actually. One is secure. So whenever you give admin, it is secure, and whenever you give in the URL guest, that means this URI is not secure. So just to explain you that one endpoint you can secure and the other endpoints you don't have to secure. So just to give you like both, it's possible. So how Spring playing a role in securing our REST endpoints. So this is my REST application, Spring Security. I just included in my application and I've configured. When I say configuration, I've informed the Spring Security what are the endpoints that Spring Security has to secure. Okay, so I'm just giving Spring Security some information in this configuration. Okay, to like what are the URI, what is the endpoint, what is the username, password, something like that. Okay, so in this demo application I'm using in-memory database. That means it will be in the JVM, but whereas the other ways of storing your credentials, it's like DB in the database, LDAP, and there are many ways. You can also have your own uh, uh, custom way of storing your credentials. So what happens, like whenever a good user provides a valid username password and trying to access a secured API, okay, Spring Security, it's going to intercept the call and it's going to check, is this URI is of this pattern. So is the user is hitting this URI pattern, then Spring Security will stop and check, is the provided username password is correct or not. If it is correct, if the user has provided valid username and password, then it will allow him to access the REST endpoint. Otherwise, it will throw 401 unauthorized access. Suppose a bad user who does not know what is the username password to access the REST endpoint. Okay, so they are providing the invalid username and password. So Spring Security, looking at the pattern, URI pattern that they are trying to access, it will stop, it will intercept the call and it will check. Okay, for this endpoint it is secured, so it will check the username and password which is mentioned here. Okay, in the configuration, and if it is invalid, then it's going to return 401. You are not authorized to access this endpoint because you don't know what is the valid username and password. Okay, so this is a basic flow, like how Spring Security plays a role in securing my REST application. Okay, so for the demo purpose, I've created two endpoints. One is admin. To access this endpoint, you need to know the username and password. The other one, you don't need to know the username and password because it's open, it's public, and it's not secure. Okay, so what is basic authentication? There are different types of authentication Spring Security provides, like OAuth 2 and other stuff. But in this video, I'm going to focus on basic authentication. So you can control anyone to access your REST resources using username and password. So they have to, whenever they make a request to your REST endpoint, they have to provide the username and password. So if you're using a curl command, it should be base64 encoded. So in this demo, I'm going to show you in the browser. So you will see a dialog box. So where username and password will be asked and you have to enter it. Let me explain you this enable web security annotation. So whenever you have this annotation in your code, that means you are enabling the Spring security for your application. Okay, so this is very important. The next question is, how do I inform the Spring security framework which URL or which endpoint to secure? Say for example, you have 10 endpoints in your REST application, and out of 10 you want to secure only 5, and the other 5 endpoints you're saying I don't want to secure. So how do I inform the Spring security? There is a way. That's why I've clearly mentioned a box here. Like in the configuration section, you can inform to the Spring security that these are the endpoints you have to secure. So this is the way you can tell Spring security that you have to secure these endpoints. Okay, so there is a method called configure. Let me show you in the code. So here configure. So what happens, like in the HTTP object, you have to say any matches which has this pattern permit all. Okay, so guest. So if the URI is having guest word, you can saying like permit all. Okay, so that's why it is not secure. Okay, how the username and password are validated in Spring REST application. So in the demo application, we are providing the username and password. So how it is validated? Let me show you the application itself. So already the application is up and running. So you can see here it's running. So I'm going to, so let's run this. So it's asking for the username and password. So I'm going to give a wrong username and password. So you can see here 401 401. Okay, so you are not authorized to access the endpoint, whereas if you see the other endpoint, which is guest, okay, when I do a refresh, so it doesn't even ask for a username and password dialog because it is not secure, and this is secure. Okay, so you have to give a valid username and password. You can say full authentication is required to access this resource. So I'm just showing you what is the header information and the response. Okay, I've already told you that I don't have a real database to validate. So let me show you the code. So whenever you make a call to the REST application, Spring Security is going to check the username and password against in-memory database. So that means when I say in-memory database, configure global. So authentication manager builder. Here we are saying like auth in-memory authentication with user. So this is my username and expected username and password, and this is the password. Okay, expected username and expected password. So you have to provide learn as a username and share as a password. Since it's a demo application, I am keeping it inside the code. Otherwise I'll be keeping it in a database to validate it. Okay, so we have answered that how the username and password are validated. One more important question is like, what is the purpose of basic authentication point? The purpose of basic authentication entry point is to set this header into the response. So you might be wondering, like, whenever I refresh this, how I'm getting this dialog, how the browser will know this, that this, whenever you access, actually this dialog is produced by, is created by the browser. Okay, so how the browser will know I have to give a dialog here to get the username and password. For that, you have to see the response. So here you can see the our REST application is setting this header. Okay, so the REST application is setting this header. That's where we need basic authentication entry point. So this is a class which extends this basic authentication entry point. Okay, here what we are doing in the response, we are adding this header. So whenever this header is added, the browser will come to know, okay, whenever this header is added, the browser will bring up the dialog. Okay, so that is the purpose of basic authentication point. So I've explained like the basic question that I have to for this REST application. So let me explain you the controller also. So how the so this is a very simple Spring REST application, and I have two controllers. One, as I said, this is a secured controller, like secured endpoint. So whenever you try to access this endpoint using admin, it is secured. And there is one more controller which is like for the guest user endpoint. So this is not at all secured because here we have say this is like permit all, it's already authenticated. Okay, so using this guest you can access it. So how do I start the server? From command prompt I have started. So mvn spring boot run, so it's running here, and so it's already running in here. So here like this it is running here, it's running. And let's go and test again, like the guest, you can, if you refresh it, you are able to see the results for the guest. Okay, so let me change the name. So Martin, hello guest user Martin, happy learning. So it does not ask you username and password at all. So let's access this. The admin endpoint. So I'm giving Martin. So it's asking for the username and password. I provide say a wrong. Okay. So here you can see 401. So now I'm going to provide the proper username and password, that is learn share. So I'm going to give, now you can see, so we got 200. Martin, hi admin Martin. Here if it says hello guest user, here it says hi admin Martin, happy learning. So here you can see the response is 200. So it's clear that this endpoint is secured by basic authentication from Spring Security. So in this picture, like I've given Postman, it is one more client to access the REST resources. So you can also use Postman and try with basic auth, and you can provide the username and password, and you can see the response from this demo application. Okay, so I just try to explain like two endpoints. One is secure and the other one is not secure, and basically how exactly Spring Security helps you, how Spring Security plays a role in securing these endpoints. and this code is already available. I'm going to share the GitHub link for you so you can download and try out immediately. If you have any comments, please post your comments. If you like this video, please click the like button. If you really like this video and you want to share with your friends, please click on the share button. And I'm going to post many videos related to technical stuff, so you can subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for your time.